Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin Bischoff and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey there, folks. Welcome to the Home Building Hub. It's Colin here with co-host Darren Brennan as always. And today we're going to talk to you a little bit about titled land and untitled or non-titled land. We're going to explain the definitions. We're going to get into the pros and cons of each just to help those of you out there whether try to work out whether I get something that's ready to build on now or ready to wait a little bit longer, in the 6 to 12 or even longer, I guess over a year mark. Darren, so how you going today, mate? You good?
Mate, going real well, and I'm glad I got the memo, the Blue Jumper Brigade today. So we're looking good, mate. Up and at it.
That's right. We're the blue. We're in a little bit of warm weather now. Had a good day yesterday.
Nice to see the better weather coming through, mate. And obviously, as we're approaching, summer and Christmas and stuff, it's a good time of year, mate. There's a fair bit going on in the industry. I had a great catch up on Thursday night with a whole lot of industry colleagues, and there's a fair bit going on out there, mate, which is good. Certainly. I think all builders would love to see a little bit more activity on the ground, and probably today's episode talks a little bit about that, and what's going on, and certainly the land developers are the same. But there is, there are some green shoots out there, and there's a little bit of positivity. I think the warmer weather always gets people a little bit more excited. Spring weather's buying weather, they say, and certainly there's some good deals to be had for consumers out in the market right now.
Yep. Yeah, so just before we kick off, guys, generally we just sort of share, like if you've heard the podcast or you like what you listen to, then can you please jump on, leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you are. That's generally what we refer to as the fee for listening. We're sort of really grateful for any feedback we get. Any questions and other feedback that you want to put forward, just jump on the website, homebuildinghub.com.au. If you want to learn a bit more about myself and Darren, we don't really ramble on about ourselves very often. There is an introduction episode about who we are, what we do, why the podcast exists, and how it provides value to you. Just jump back to that episode 1, and that'll give you the information you need. So let's jump straight in, Daz. So I guess to help set this up for people, I've been looking at a bit of data lately, reading the reports from our friends at OpenLot, for example, some of our developer friends. And one of the things that stood out to me was that a lot of purchasers or prospective purchasers, when they're looking for land to go and buy a house and land package, they're starting with that land part, which is totally cool. About 60% were, I guess, how would I put this? Historically, people want to find land that's titled, as in ready to build on, right? But what was interesting with the stats that came back, Daz, was that more than 60%, and in some cases, some areas, 70 and 80%, were not interested in titled land. They wanted land that was going to title or be ready to build on in 6 months plus. And in actual fact, 12 to 24 months was a pretty high category as well. So seeing that information sort of worried me a little bit. The reason, I guess we'll go through a few of the reasons, but it worried me a little bit because I was wondering whether people are educated enough as to the pros and cons of buying titled land versus non-titled or untitled land. And I thought it'd be good for us to do a short, sharp episode today just to educate people on, what the pros and cons are so they can make the right decision for them. Okay, so
I think we can kick into that, Cole, but I was going to say it'd be interesting to know, like, I definitely think there's probably an education piece around that, but also, are people making this on a financial decision? Are they concerned about interest rates, where they're at, what's going to happen there? There's obviously a few other balls in play at the moment. You've got the new gas regulation in Victoria coming into play. So if you're needing a planning permit, and again, you can be on a titled lot but still need planning. That's really creeping up on us. I'd like I'd be surprised if many builders could take a deposit today and get you, if you needed planning through and a planning approval, pre-Christmas potentially, and then obviously that kicks in on the 1st of January. But then you've also got the 7-star requirements creeping up on us pretty quick too, with the 1st of May coming around. I know in Queensland that's already well and truly underway, and they're racing to get, I think by the end of this month, and forgive me if I'm wrong, to have a building permit issued up there so that you avoid the 7-star requirements, because again, it's a big cost impost on people. So I think there's a bit of a juggle up there at the moment as to where things and what's causing that delay. And is it a bit of speculation in the market? Investors are always savvy. Are they starting to speculate and buy, thinking that, hold on, 12 months, 18 months time, this land's going to be higher in value? It's good buying right now. Maybe that's it too. So
Yeah. I don't think there's any one answer, but I guess if we can cover for people the different variables or considerations that people may be making, then one or two of them may suit your circumstance. And I guess we just want to educate you on that, because I feel like some of the decisions being made for the reasons being that they're holding back or potentially buying land that's not ready yet may not be as well understood as what I would hope a buyer would have in terms of their knowledge and their homework that they've done. So I think a lot of those buyers sitting on the sidelines, or those buyers who are buying land that's not titled or not ready to build on, a lot of them are taking the advice of potentially a finance broker or a family member or something, saying, no, wait till the market gets better and wait till interest rates go down and all that sort of stuff. And the truth is, and we share a little bit of that today, is you've got, like Darren said, 7-star coming. It's already up in Queensland. And you see there's this mad rush to try and get jobs through to prevent that $20,000 increase, whatever it may be, to jump from 6-star to 7-star. So there's a substantial cost coming if you're going to wait, right? In terms of interest rates, we may get one go up this year. We may get one go down next year. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's always been the case. If anything, I've seen the last 2 months, it's sort of settled down a bit, and some more inquiries are coming through because people have just accepted that's where it's going to be. If I can borrow based on that, then I should be pushing ahead, because I don't want to wait till 7-star comes through, till livable housing stuff that gets implemented, and because you just won't be able to build the house. By May next year, you won't be able to build the house that you can build today. So we want to make you aware of those things and go through it. So perhaps, Darren, maybe we start. Oh, no, you go. Yeah.
If you just traded off the cost of 7-star versus the potential of interest rate rise, maybe like you said before Christmas, and I don't think personally, and I'm no financial expert, but I don't think it's going to go up anymore. I think we might have peaked out. And there's a fair bit of talk around that. But even if you're waiting for them to come down next year, the reductions that come down aren't going to save you in your week-to-week paycheck, in terms of, if it costs you 20 to 40 grand, it's probably the sort of the round number to go to 7-star, depending on the size of the home. You're not going to save that in repayments. If you look at what that adds to your repayment, that's not going to be saved in repayments unless you're going to get multiple interest rate reductions. So, it's certainly a big trade-off. Yeah. But I'll kick in, Cole. I guess let's start with some definitions around what is titled and untitled land. So titled land is ready to build on. Basically, it means the roads are in, all the infrastructure's in, and it's ready to go. So it's been registered and approved based on all the required work, such as streets, gutters, light poles, electricity to the estate, gas. Right now, if you're in Victoria, and some of that future stuff obviously won't have gas. But all those things will be in place. So basically, as a builder, we can get on to your block of land and start building as soon as possible. So one bit with that is you've still got to settle that land into your name. So that does take, can be quite short. If you're a cash buyer, you might be able to do it in 14 days, but most people are going to take somewhere sort of 30, 60 or 90 days to be able to settle a title block of land. And then you've got untitled, which means that the developer is still completing the work, so the works may not have even begun. So it's just literally, you might be just buying a piece of dirt in a paddock, so to speak, and no work's been done, or the work might be halfway completed, but the approvals and that releasing of the title has not occurred yet. So, it could be a week away, could be a couple of years or more away. So it's just understanding what does that look like, I guess, and maybe what are some of the pros and cons, Cole, of both, I guess.
Yep. So I'll start with untitled land, because that's seemingly the alarming figure that I saw the majority sitting in. Now, when you go and buy a block of land that is not yet titled, you go into a land office generally, and the developer or the sales company working on behalf of the developer will share with you what the estate's about. Well, if you buy titled land, the same thing will happen. But if you're buying titled land, you can go and drive to that block and you can actually see it. Like, that's the block, as opposed to a vast sort of open paddock. So you'll learn about the estate and the pros and the cons and all that sort of stuff. So we're not saying don't do it. What we're saying is that it's really something you can't, there's no tangibility to it when it's not titled. Okay. So you're waiting and you're relying upon the developer delivering that block in the time frame that they do. So the most important lesson here is, when you buy land that's untitled, the developer is going to give you what's called, I guess, a title forecast. And they may say, like, at the time recording this, we're October 2023. Maybe, Daz, we walk into a land office and they're saying, look, here's a beautiful block for you. It's got a good price, great estate, and you're happy with the estate, but the land's not ready to title until we're forecasting the last quarter of next year, for example, which, call it, let's just say it's in November, December, it's 12 months away, right? Now, that might fit into your timeline. The reason people buy blocks that are non-titled or untitled is because in a lot of cases you can secure the land, sign the land contract, pay a minimal deposit, and then you can continue saving before you go and lock away the house, right? So you don't need to settle on the thing until the land actually is titled. So there's a benefit there for people who don't quite have enough savings. So there's actually really good benefits to having non-titled land. The constraint, though, is if that land doesn't title in 12 months and you've planned and saved and done everything properly, and then you've got yourself a builder, you've got yourself a signed building contract, and the price is protected for 12 months and everything, you feel like you've got all your ducks in a row, but then the land gets delayed for another 12 months. Then you're in a bit of trouble because you're still renting for another 12 months. You've got your finance and you're stuck because you've got this block of land that you've committed to that is no longer 12 months away. It's actually now 24 months away. So that is the biggest roadblock to non-titled land. And I have seen, and we've got, Darren, a whole list of customers that have been sitting there since 2021. We've given them pricing for quotes that they're signed off, or even up to colours and contract, and they're just sitting there on the shelf. And we have to call them and say, and they know now, like, they know the price has changed. We have to call them and say, look, it's 20K more, or in some cases 40 or 50K more to build the same house because their land has been delayed by so long. And it's not a shot at developers, okay, because they've got to develop their land. It takes time. So essentially, rather than wait till it's titled, they do pre-sell the land because there's demand for it.
Well, they also need the funding. They need the bank. They need to show pre-sales so that the bank will actually fund that works. And the other parties, you're right, Cole, that it's certainly not always their fault that it's delayed. It could be council, it could be some of the approving authorities that have delayed things. It could be, classic example is the estate next door not allowing them to get infrastructure through to theirs. So it might be relying on the estate next door to bring a sewer line through or something like that, and those sort of things. And they're often the things that delay. I guess the other part is, and I'd like to highlight, is when the delays happen in your title, it's not the builder's responsibility either, unfortunately, So it is back on the land developer that it is. The builder can't do anything about getting that title sooner. So if the price for the builder has gone up, unfortunately, it's not much you can do about that. And we do get a fair bit of flack from people, why are you charging me more? Well, because it's costing significantly more to build your home now. And just be understanding of that, I guess. And it's not that they just are trying to rip you off. They've got a business to run, and unfortunately those costs can, and we are still seeing inflation rising, costs going up. So
well, it's no different if I got a trade quote me for a fixed maintenance job at home 2 years ago, and then I rang them up and said, well, you quoted me 2 years ago, and I expected the same price. It's just not going to happen. It's the same for a builder, but. So, I just reiterate that it's not about the developer's fault. Like, they've got to, get the money in so they can develop their land, and it can take time, and there's delays for there's variables and many different reasons for it. What I'm trying to highlight, the people I'm talking to are you, the home buyers. If you've got advice from a broker or from a family member or from someone telling you need to wait you need to save more money, you should buy land that titles 12 months from now, I just want to make you aware of the risk of doing that. Perhaps you can save the money in the next 6 months, and then you're in a position to go and actually purchase a titled block of land. It's ready to build on. 3 months go by the time you settle on it and you get your contracts and everything sorted with your builder. That may actually be a better option for you in the long run. So it's circumstances based on the individual. But I think today, Darren, is about pointing out to people. I just felt like there was maybe a little bit of lack of education on that topic. So there are pros and cons to it. Hopefully that helps explain them. And maybe we'll jump into titled land, Darren, if you could help explain that. Yeah.
One thing I would say, there's stacks of titled land around at the moment. So if you're looking for a titled block, there's probably never been a time better to buy a titled block. Now, that could be direct from the developer. Developers got plenty of blocks. Some have returned to the market. People have been able to settle their block because the interest rates have gone up so much over that period of time that you're talking about. They bought it as untitled and interest rates went up 12 times, and now they can't actually afford the block of land anymore. So those sort of circumstances have happened, and so they've returned to the market. There's also people who settled their blocks of land and are now on selling those, so through real estate agents. And I guess what that does allow for, number one, is if the block's titled and you can purchase that, let's say you can settle it in 60 days, your finances are in good order, then there's an opportunity to get your home built much quicker. I can say, and again, no secrets, I work for Metricon. We're right now saying we'll get people to site in 14 weeks, which is pretty quick. In a traditional time, that would have been a lot longer, right? And so, we're doing everything to try and get people, with title blocks on the site as soon as possible. We're not the only ones, Cole. There's lots of builders doing it. You guys get contracts quicker than we do. So there's an opportunity in that space to go, well, I need a contract quicker. I need it in line with my finance. Builders will get in and get their hands dirty to help you get to site as soon as possible. So if you need a contract sooner, have a chat to your builder.
And let me tell you why. Probably a good thing for people to understand, diving into the building business. Basically, long story short, a builder has a certain number of site starts they need to hit each month. So they've got a whole range of staff. Whether it's a big builder or a small one, they've still got a supervisor, and they've potentially got operations people, and they've got overhead to pay for, right? So basically, they need 10 starts a month, or 5 starts a month, or 55 starts a month, whatever it may be, that's what they need. So if, for example, a couple of starts dropped off, a couple of clients didn't get finance in time, or the land didn't get titled and it got pushed out to another month, they need to find new jobs to sort of slot straight into those spots, and titled land is where it's at. So that's why you'll find that builders are definitely more aggressive and more ambitious when they hear that word titled. There'll be potentially some more savings, some more deals on the table for you as a result. But just to help you understand, that's why titled land is a priority for builders, because it helps them, well, we call them bins, but helps them fill their spots up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Obviously, with titled land, there's better deals out there. I mentioned you can buy a resale block, and that person might have bought the land 2-3 years ago for $100,000 less than today's prices, and then they're selling it for and making a very small profit, and happy to. They're happy to offload it. Some people, and again, as those people get a bit desperate, they tend to sell their land a bit cheaper. Even with developers, and what I am seeing is the developers themselves, not many of them, some are, and we're starting to see more and more of it, aren't advertising specials as such. They tend to be talking about, I guess, rebates. So they'll say, all right, well, the block of land, today's price is $300,000, and we're going to give you $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 rebate off that block of land. So you're paying the list price, that's what appears in the contract, and then there'll be a rebate off that price. So, and again, that'll be handled in different ways at different developers. So when you go in and talk to the land developer, ask about how that is processed. Is that, is it a straight discount? Is it like short settlement is what they might call it. So you have a $300,000 contract, but you've only got to settle them at $270,000, and they'll have a letter in place saying, here you go, here's a discount. So there's different ways and means, but you'd certainly be wanting to hope on a title block of land now that if you walked into the developer, that the price on the list is, you'd want to see that there's some sort of a reduction in price, and that certainly I couldn't think of a developer that's not working in that space right now on title blocks of land. And then the other part is you're getting better deals with builders. So builders are certainly more aggressive about chasing these title blocks of land deals. Most builders allow a certain amount of time that their base price is valid to. Could be 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 18 months. That allows for a cost. And they, we call it a CMA, a cost movement adjustment, right? So what that really means is that we price the home, in Metricon's case, out to 12 months. So we say 12 months. Obviously, there's a cost to that, depending on the size of the home, all that sort of stuff, to hold that price for that period of time. So if you can start in 6 months or in less than 6 months, then you start to see that cost being able to be credited back to you as a form of a discount. So there's some feel, geez, I'm scared the builder's discounting. If it seems too cheap, be scared, right? Mm-hmm. That's probably fair to say, Cole, right? We're just talking about it before we jumped on the podcast. If it's so cheap it's scary, it's probably scary, right? Yeah. But if it seems sort of in line, and I'd be saying to you, if it's, let's say they're saving 6 months time off what they would normally allow. They allow for 12 months and they're now able to get back to 6 months. You're probably going to save somewhere, let's say, between $1,000 and $2,000 a month. So on that, you'd save $6,000 to $12,000, somewhere in that ballpark, roughly speaking, by being able to start your home 6 months shorter than they might have allowed 12 months. Does that kind of make sense? I think that's probably a good realm of sort of saving, Colin, and some might be a little bit more, some might be a little bit less, but somewhere in that sort of ballpark, I think it'd be a pretty fair idea of what you could expect to save. Now that's significant. You might have saved 20 or 30 grand off the block of land, and then the builders come to the party and you're saving, another 10 grand there. All of a sudden you're $40,000 cheaper than on that untitled block of land.
Yeah.
It's significant.
And the other side of that is if that price protection period runs out, you're not putting it. If you buy titled land, you're not putting that at risk. So absolutely. In our case, yes, we've got actually we have a couple of builders. So one's on 6 months price protection, another one's 12 months, and they sort of mix in between. But some of the others, but yeah, that's the same principle. So if you buy titled land and your price is protected for 6 or 12 months, you're safe. Right. And we can essentially give you a bit of a discount as a result of that to get you in and fill that spot like we were talking about before. If you'd land titles in 9 months and you got 12-month price protection and there's a tiny little delay, another 3 months, then generally you can expect the builder to charge you what's called contingency, which is a fee per month. In addition, we've got episodes about contingency, so I won't go into it in too much detail, but long story short, you have a price up to a period, and then there's a figure each month thereafter. If it's delayed, that might be $1,000 a month, or $500 or $2,000, depending on whoever it is. But that's now being added to your contract. Okay, so you're putting that at risk by buying untitled land as well. Okay, so we're obviously pro titled land. But obviously, if your circumstances are you need to save a little bit more money, but you want to go and secure a block, then definitely untitled is probably your preferred path. You just need to get some solidarity, confirmation, comfort from a developer. They're going to actually hit that title timeframe.
I think also, Cole, markets swing, right? So markets move. If you came in 18 months ago, you probably couldn't even get a title block.
No,
right?
You couldn't.
18 months later, now there's plenty of them. So that's the swing in the market, right? So right now, titled land has always been, I guess, king, right? So if you've got titled land, you're in, it's a better position to be in for you for getting a better deal, etc. That's never changed. But sometimes there's just no titled land you can go and buy, so you don't have a choice. And in which case, if you're happy to live in that location, etc., and that's within your price range, well, you put down a deposit and you run the gauntlet of potentially there being delays, and that's always been the case. So, nothing's changed there. It's just maybe even how long those delays are, etc., can change depending on how busy the industry is. So, but it's good to have titled land around, mate. It's certainly, we're seeing a lot of people actually coming in who already have a block of land. So again, you want to be talking to your builder about what sort of, what are the deals they can do? How soon can they get you to site? But I mean, what does that look like? Do I get to still do a colour selection if that's the case, if the builder offers that? Am I just doing colour boards? Does that even matter to you? Right, so they can get you on site even quicker and get your home built. And, the other part is, if you can get your home built quick and get you to site quick, well, you're probably not going to be paying as much rent because you're going to have less, rental payments to make. You end up saving money the whole way along. So there's certainly some positives out of all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess, Daz, also, for those who do have land already and it's not titled and they're waiting for that title, the timing in which you sign a contract with the builder is really pivotal. So if you land titles in 12 months and you're signing a contract with a builder that has 12-month price protection, then you've probably got to be careful and really understand that contingency component as to what's going to happen. Alternatively, you could continue to save a few more dollars and just not commit to a builder till a little bit later if you're more comfortable doing that, maybe in 6 months from now, and then you've got yourself an extra 6 months if they had 12 months in their price protection period, just to give you that buffer. So I guess a lot of building companies would probably frown at me for saying that, but in some cases it's of benefit to you, the buyer, just to hold off committing to the builder until you're comfortable you've got a builder you're happy with, and the price protection period will get you past the forecasted title of your land.
Unless, certainly in Victoria, you're trying to avoid the 7-star. So,
and that's the other side, isn't it? So, which is May 1st next year, and we'll...
Yeah. As we always say, go and have a chat to your sales consultant. If you're concerned about any of that, by all means, reach out to us. We'd be happy to answer any questions. You can visit the homebuildinghub.com.au website. There is an area there you can click on just to send any messages through to us, and we'll happily get back to you on that. So,
yeah. Hopefully, I don't know if we've confused it for people, Darren, or helped them with a bit of clarity. But yeah, unfortunately, there's no clear path for everyone. It's not one-way traffic. It's depending on your circumstance and situation, and whether you've got titled, whether you've got untitled, if you own a block of land, or if you're looking, you don't yet own it, go and see a builder. At least get some advice on that. They will point you in the right direction. And yeah, just please take what we've said into consideration. Challenge your finance broker about the right timing for you, factoring in that there are changes coming to our industry as soon as early next year that could considerably increase the costs and will increase the cost 20, 30, however many $1,000s. So challenge your broker on that, I would say, Darren. Yeah, thanks again for listening, guys. As Darren said, jump on the website, give us some feedback. Please jump on, give us a 5-star review if you have enjoyed it. And other than that, we will see you on the next one. See ya. Thanks for listening to the Home Building Hub. As part of the podcast, we have to be a little careful to cover ourselves on a legal standpoint. So we do have a disclaimer. Whilst we're all about providing value to you, this podcast should not be considered legal or financial advice. It does contain general information only, and you should seek out independent professional advice on your own personal situation before you make any legal or financial decisions.
1, 2,